Here I am, here and now, in this moment. Here I am, in the place I am meant to be. Nothing can hurt me, nothing can shake me. I am free, I am home. Here I am, here and now, in this moment. Here I am, in the place I am.
Good morning.
And welcome to our Wednesday morning class. Today is our 6th week on our subject of energy is currency. And the bottom line of this is, how can you remain mindful and aware of how you're spending your energy and what is it bringing to you? And of course, we know the simple way is the way we have money. However amount of money you have, you are the stewards of that amount of money and how you're going to use it and spend it. And we know if we don't spend it in alignment with things that are beneficial to us, that we can waste money. I've done that. Ordered things I shouldn't have ordered, all kinds of things. So this is really a way in which we can be much more mindful about how that we're going to do that. Okay, this is our lecture 6 on purpose, alignment, and soul currency. Our theme is living in alignment with your energy blueprint. Your core energy, aligned energy, creates inevitable right action. So over the past several weeks, we've been building something very intentional. We always begin with awareness. I've often taught you that enlightenment begins with awareness. You cannot go to enlightenment until you're aware first. That means recognizing that energy is currency. That includes every thought, every attachment, and also every fear and every story we tell ourselves. It takes energy to do all those things. We discovered that you can invest your energy really all the time, consciously as well as unconsciously. Then we, defined the leaks. We explored invisible drains, and such as procrastination, emotional over-responsibility, and internal negotiations, people-pleasing, and half-closed doors. Then we spent some time trying to make sure we identified these leaks. We explored invisible drains, and we examined boundaries. Boundaries as not walls, but as stewardship. I decided to look this term stewardship up in Scripture, and I could not believe how many Scripture showed up about stewardship. So all that means is you are responsible for your life. You're responsible how you see your life and how you invest into your life. Now, I believe that we have something that's called the internal investor, and that would be wisdom. The wisdom. Boundaries are not walls, as I said, but they are actually boundaries that are based on love in action. And they're there to protect the principle. We examine the stories in our head, the internal narrator shaping our reality. So what happens to us, but what we tell ourselves about determines the quality of our life. So again, we are authoring the stories in our life. And some of these stories are not necessarily even true. But if we believe they are true, we give power to them. So it doesn't matter whether things are true or not true. It's what becomes true to us that begins to shape our life. These stories, it's not so much what happens to us, but what we tell ourselves about it. That's very important. That's where our power really lies. It's not in what people do to us or what life does to us, it's how we perceive what is being done to us. And there's where our power is, in the ability to see things differently than it may appear to be. So let's summarize the journey. Week 1 was awareness. Week 2 was about leaks. Week 3 was stories. Week 4 was about boundaries. Week 5 was reinvestment. And now week 6. So if our energy is currency, and we've stopped wasting it, which I hope that's been something as each week has gone that you've taken into the week with you. These classes must not be only when we are here, but we are giving tools to use in our life when we leave here, especially this particular class. I know a lot of my classes have just been a lot of knowledge and revelation and stuff that really isn't something you could use in everyday life, but this class has been more geared to something you can use for yourself, something that you can be extremely aware of as things come up in your life, with other people, with relationships, with yourself, with events and situations in the world, which is very important right now. I think we really have to ask ourselves, how do we want to invest our energy in what we perceive is happening in the world today? And you see, I'm talking to the choir, so to speak, in that I'm not talking to just people off the street, but I'm talking to people who has been, some of you, decades into metaphysics, new thought, meditation, workshops. I mean, you've got a foundation here that has raised you to another level of what you're responsible for. The scripture I want to give you is, where much has been given, much is required. So that means we should be really acting differently than the rest of the people out there, because we should be seeing differently. For instance, you all have sat under my teachings for all these years, and at least, and this is for me too, not just for you, but we're being kind of tested right now to see where we are. Because I think we sit through all these teachings, and the mind kind of makes us think, because I know it, I'm there. Yeah. Just because you have intellectual knowledge of something does not mean you're at the level to make it consciousness. It's not the level of consciousness. So I think that's an important point for us to basically to look at. So what I'm saying to you at this point of the 5 weeks that you've been here, and now the 6th week, you should see something in the sense of how you've begun to invest. And we're going to really get into that next week. Even though this is the last 6th week, we're going to have one more week of coming together, and we're going to give you some homework today so that next week we can really bring this into practicality. And also we have some surprises for you at that time. So don't miss next week especially. So at this point, we should see some level of less wasting of our energy. Again, I use the fact of money. So you're blessed to have some money, beyond survival, and some people are blessed to have money in a savings, or they have money beyond what they need. And that money is important, how you're going to use it for things beyond your survival level. This is where you can use it for personal creativity. You know, maybe you don't need that new dress or that new blouse or that new purse, but maybe you want it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong in desiring to have something nice. But you got to have that extra money to back it up to get it, right? So we need to look at how we are really focusing on how that we can invest all of this. So the only question actually left is, what is worthy of my life force now? Of yours, but I'm going to say mine, make it personal. What is worthy of my life force now? So this is the week of alignment. Alignment. Another word for alignment to me is at one-ment. I like the term at one-ment. That means being one with your truth, one with your purpose. Because conserved energy without purpose just sits there. I really like that. You know, oftentimes as people begin to be blessed, say with finance, we just keep using that because we understand that as our metaphor, but sometimes people just become they hoard it. They put it away and they like knowing it's there, but they never use it for anything. It just sits there. And sometimes it sits in situations that's not even making any interest. Like a bank account. Bank accounts hardly pay you anything anymore. That's the last place you really want to put your money if you have extra, is in a bank account that's only paying you 1 or 2% or hardly that anymore. I don't know what the exact is, but it's not very much. So you're always looking for what gives you the best energy back for what your investment is. So you are here as co-creators, light workers, whatever you choose to connect with as who you are. And therefore, you've been given a purpose for being here. And it's not just to survive as a human being. You're here for more than that. And that's why I love the idea of I come to give you life and more abundantly. So let's forget about the new dress, the new purse, the new whatever. And let's say you get a spiritual idea. You get something awakens in you that gives you passion. And I'm sure right now all of you at some point have a direction toward what you'd like to support. You know, when the hurricane came, I saw Rhonda stepping up and wanting to put her investment and her energy and her time in the survivors and what was going on there. And all of you probably have something that catches your eye, catches your attention. And you say, I really would like to be a part of doing something for that. It takes energy to do that. And it takes energy beyond your personal existence to be able to do those things and get involved in things outside of the boundaries of where you live in your world. So we don't want all this energy we keep talking about, and we talk about energy all the time, just sitting there and doing nothing. In these kind of classes, we want to start finding our direction, our purpose, in ways that we are here to assist something. I get very moved by a couple of things, and that is when they show pets. You see those dogs and cats that are so sad and they've been abused and whatever. You know, it's very tempting. And I have done some of those, sign up $19 a month, only 58 cents a day, you know, to support those things. People say to me, well, how do you know? How do you know that's where that money's going? It's not going into some CEO's pocket. Well, that's their problem, not mine. If my heart was right in giving, my karma's good. People say that about churches and things. I don't know where that money goes. I don't know where that preacher's doing with that money. But if your heart was right in giving it, That does not diminish your blessing. Does that make sense to you? So it's all in the intention behind our giving that makes a lot of sense. Reclaimed energy without direction becomes restlessness. I think that's an interesting one. I think there is a certain restlessness with people about, I just think there should be more. I think I should be doing more. I'm just not content with my everyday life and the routine that I go through. I think that's a really good thing. And that's saying, think bigger. Think bigger than the limitations and the boundaries of your world that you live in. And I think the happiest people are people who are involved in something bigger than themselves, who are investing in something that they believe in and something that they want support. There's got to be a certain amount of feeling satisfaction in working with those kind of things.
Could you say that sentence one more time?
About reclaimed energy?
Because it's not in our...
Reclaimed.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I found it.
Okay, reclaimed energy without direction becomes restlessness. So that the restlessness is the thing that tells us, okay, it's time for you to rethink your life. It's time for growth. It's time for expansion. It's time of moving out of the boundaries you have set for yourself in that way. But aligned energy creates the proverb that says, walking with the wise, it multiplies. So there is a way of being in alignment with your environment that is a way that multiplies your life, makes it feel more than purposeful. And I think, when I did the message not too many Sundays ago on that discontent, divine discontent, that was what I was trying to say, that when people start feeling restless about the limitation of their world they have made for themselves, that restlessness is saying, there's something awakening in me. There's potential that is coming out of my unconscious into my consciousness, and I feel expansion going on. Then what do you want to do there? You don't want to just start throwing the money or the energy around. You want to go in and ask wisdom. Teach me wisdom. How that I am to stay in alignment and use my energy in a way that is in purpose with my soul desire and purpose in that way. So reclaimed energy without direction becomes restlessness. Okay. Soul currency versus survival currency. There's two economic systems operating in human life. So let's look at the first one, which is survival currency. This is the fear-based investment, and it asks, how do I stay safe? Boy, Randall and I talked about today on our talk this morning on how can we feel safe in the time of so much breakdown and war that is going on around us. Yeah. We really got into a little bit of conversation on trying to bring it into today, what people might be going through this morning. Like, I don't feel safe. Okay. The fear-based investment asks, how do I look acceptable? What does that mean to you? How do I look acceptable?
How I fit in. How I fit in.
Good. Somebody else, give me a... What comes to you?
Another version of what Elaine is saying is to be accepted. What actually came to my mind was like an image of people being put on a boat or a raft and sent off from the community when they're not useful.
I like
and
this.
Fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else? What does that bring up to you? Yes.
Like conforming to the cultural perspectives on what you should or shouldn't appear like.
Mm-hmm. Back to alignment again. At one minute, yeah. How do I avoid rejection?
Don't care.
If you don't care, you don't feel
You don't
rejected.
care. You know you're okay in yourself.
Yeah.
Who cares?
It's kind of, but I don't care that I care. I mean, I care, but I don't care. It's kind of both things.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't care. It's just that I don't care enough to give my energy away.
Yeah,
To
staying
something.
centered.
Well, we're on the survival side of it, so in order to avoid rejection, I don't share my true opinions about what's going on politically.
I don't show myself, okay.
Yeah.
I keep to myself what I really think about something, because I don't want to be rejected.
Or I put a mask on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's withholding your energy for the purpose of not being rejected. And that is a egoic temptation that we all have, is to try to
Survival.
That's to survive, yeah. So I do accumulate enough to feel secure. How do I accumulate enough to feel secure? Is one of them. So the survival currency says protect, prove, perform, control. And it keeps you busy, but does not keep you fulfilled. Yeah. So let's look at soul currency. Now this uses the word spiritual, and spirit, but I changed it to soul because I think the spirit is a transcendent thing. You understand? It needs nothing. It is the totality within itself. But I think it's the soul that we are dealing with here. And I can't help but think of the scripture that says, you shall prosper even as your soul does prosper. So soul currency asks a different question. What expands me? What aligns me with my values? That's an important one. What expresses love? What contributes to something larger than myself? Let's go back to what aligns with my values. One thing that is a different responsibility for the community, such as ourselves, who have moved out from Christianity, Judeo-Christianity, which is very emphatic to give you laws of right and wrong. And when you came into New Thought, you came into metaphysics, there wasn't much of that there. There wasn't guidelines to tell you right and wrong. Does that make sense to you? In other words, if I go to a certain church, they're going to tell me what is right and what is wrong, and what I should believe, and what is moral and what is immoral, and they're going to set down rules and regulations. We didn't have a lot of that when we came into New Thought. You came into Unity, Science of Mind. There's not a lot of don'ts and do's. So you had, and that's part of your growth, because in that growth is when you have to find your values. And these values are not learned laws outside of yourself. They're values inside of yourself. Yes?
So, as I'm reading through these, how do I say, the survival currency is what is promoted by organized religion. It really is. It's promoted there. How do you stay safe? Do you look acceptable? Avoid rejection? It's all in the perform.
That's it. And we'll tell you how. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't help people to spiritually grow who get caught into that religious thinking because they don't find their own innate values. So therefore, the illusion that people are evil and good. Now it's not that I don't believe in evil and good, but I think we make our own evil and good. I don't think it's an innate, inherent thing. If you come to the authentic self, there cannot be evil and good. Although I believe this world actually has evil and good, and I think it has come from the fact that we've lost our innate values. So I don't want a law to have to tell me that I got to treat you a certain way when I don't have any value to treat you that way, but I'm supposed to, or I'm going to get in trouble if I do. That's why racism has not been solved. That's why homophobia has not been solved. That's why the issue with women and equality has not been completely solved. We've progressed, no doubt about it, but it's not been solved because they want to give us the boundaries of what the value is of a culture, a society, and not allow us to find that innate natural part of ourselves to love. You can't whip me into loving by scaring me with hell. They've tried that. You know, I've tried that. Does that make sense to you?
Sure.
So a lot of you are good people because you found a values in yourself of how you want to treat other people, each other, and even people in the world is all based on your innate values. That is in your authentic, true self. So the scripture I just gave you is 3 John 1:2, if you're even interested. Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers. In other words, our physical human life always matches the level of consciousness we attain. Okay? So soul currency produces deep fulfillment. Let's feel that a moment. What happens in your life that gives you a feeling of fulfillment?
Relationships.
Accomplishing goals.
Accomplishing goals? Anybody else? Think about a time that you felt fulfillment.
Connection.
Connection?
I felt fulfilled when I was helping the youth, you know, with their emotional problems and stuff.
That's more where I'm trying to head right there. I think more when you are doing something beyond yourself for something else, and that, a person, a cause, or something like that, it gives you such a feel of fulfillment, to feel useful. And I think that's lacking in people. I don't think people basically feel useful. You know.
They don't have a place to access, a place to be useful, like in well, I don't want to say in the olden times because that's silly, but in recent times there were so many programs as people were coming up, even if they weren't getting examples at home, like Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, like band, home ec, you know, all those kinds of things.
Sports.
And well, sports is still there, and that's good, but that's only for this group. It's not. It's not as broad spectrum as far as that goes. I mean, we need to go back to having some of those other programs that they can learn to feel useful. I don't know about anybody else, but the things I learned in, not only in band as far as teamwork, but in home economics and those kinds of things are used consistently through my life. And your sports background, I mean, that informed your career, you know, all those things.
I like that. That's good. Good point. Good point.
With sports, it instills confidence. When they get a skill and they know they have it, it gives them confidence.
That's a good point, too. All right, creative flow. Again, creative flow to me is I'm on target. You know how we define sin as missing the mark?
Yeah.
Well, when you hit the mark and you're in alignment with divine purpose, you have this, you tap into a flow and your life becomes more creative in that way. Generosity, I think that just is another word for being thankful. Gratitude, always that state of gratitude. Right relationship, wow, we get what is a right relationship?
Heck on me. Just saying.
All right, let's move up the chakras a little bit. Dolores?
I would like to move up the chakra a little bit. This fulfillment and its connection with what we call success here. I thought it was interesting. Decades ago, I read something from Doreen Virtue. Someone had said to her, I'm getting ready to retire. I've had this great life, and what can I do to give back? Doreen's answer was, your angels just said, you grow beautiful roses if you stay home and grow roses and be at peace. That's the fulfillment. And I've thought about that over the years, that makes so much sense to me. So when I feel at peace, and I have had the good fortune of feeling that way several times, and not giving in to the other kinds of feelings and actions that we might have. So I think that's a whole different way of looking at.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Okay, notice the phrase inevitable right action. When energy is aligned, you don't force decisions. I like that. You don't overthink every step. You move from clarity. That is such an important. Let's look at these again. When energy is aligned, you don't force decisions, right? You don't overthink every step. That's where we get in trouble, is the overthinking, the analytical part of the mind. That's why I think Einstein said, imagine now and do not analyze later. Yes. And I think we do the opposite. I think we overanalyze until we lose the inspiration of different acts that we choose to do and where we choose to place our energy in that way. From an open heart, we share. From an open heart, we enter into the flow of prosperity. Back again to, as the soul prospers, so shall you prosper. I think that's why a lot of prosperity teachings and workshops do not work for people. I think that probably they're very good classes. I think people are good teachers. I think people come with some kind of expectations, but I don't think that they start with the soul prospering before the prosperity will come. You can't make prosperity come. Some of you all know that. Because you've been in the teachings of prosperity. If you've been in unity and new thought, I guarantee you've been into one or more prosperity workshops. And oftentimes, maybe for you it worked, I'm not going to say it didn't, but the majority of people still pretty well are dealing with survival financially with all of that. And I think it's because we did not raise the consciousness and find the flow of prosperity coming to us. We don't go to prosperity. Prosperity comes to you. It's divine law. It's law. The deep calleth into the deep. Yeah. So, and this is critical. Purpose is not a job description. I like that. Now, I've been blessed to find a profession, you know what I'm saying? What I've done in life, in ministry, has been so aligned to why I'm here. I have never tried to, very seldom have I ever seen it as my job. I can't say that to people. And people, of course, ask me, where am I employed? And, the language is out there. And I don't fit with that at all. I'm not there with trying to fit into that description of myself as, employed and what's my job and what's my job description. I'm totally kind of lost there because I'm just letting life live through me. And when things mostly go well here on a Sunday or a Wednesday and I leave here, I feel this thing of contentment. That today I was used. Today I was available for the universe to flow through me as me. And maybe I said something today that encouraged someone, or somebody learned something they didn't know. That's fulfillment. That's my fulfillment. But this is saying that each one of you can find in your own way that which brings your soul fulfillment. And when you have that, then you create divine law of attraction to begin to bring to you. I often say the best things, like people who go out and look for a relationship with somebody. You halfway, because you need to be halfway so they can find you. You see what I'm saying? You do your part and then you stop and you say, okay, who's looking for me? I'm looking for them. Somebody, the one that I'm looking for is the one that's looking for me. So you that have good marriages, relationships, partnerships, or whatever, is because that has worked for you. You have been in the right place at the right time in which you've attracted to you that which was looking for you, because it's not just what I'm looking for in a relationship. I want somebody who's looking for me in their relationship. Does that make sense to you? And that's the difference in A Course in Miracles and holy relationships versus special relationships. Because that's the ego. Ego will give you spatial relationships, which mostly will end up, like most of them do, with 52% of divorces and all the things that basically goes on. Yes?
I was going to say, when I meditate, I don't always do this, but I tell God that if I can be of service to Him today, to be His vessel, that I am honored. And it's amazing how somehow I can do something for somebody else.
And that's the greatest prayer that can be prayed every day. God, whatever you call it, I am your availability today to flow through me and as me. And that's what God's looking for, availability. We are God's availability in the world. But we're so busy trying to do it for God, trying to be good for God. See, in the religion I wanted to be good for God because I need to appease this mean God that's going to maybe throw me in hell. And so I want to do everything to appease God. That never worked for me. And that's when I heard these words, and I feel to share this with you, but this is very many years ago in my young years, but I swear it came to me in a voice that I know, and it says, stop living your life for me and let me live my life as you. That was just one of those moments of a shift that changed everything. Because I was working so hard, I wouldn't even go to the school. But my parents would go to work and I'd hide because I wanted to pray all day, because the Bible says pray without ceasing. And I thought I can't pray at school, so I'll stay home and pray. And I'd try to pray all day long, and I'd run out of things to pray for. And sometimes I'd fall asleep, and then I had to repent because, oh my God, I did it.
Overthinking it.
So anyway, purpose is not a job description. Purpose is the alignment of your energy with your values. Back to the values again. Your energy blueprint is not asking, what should I do? But it's asking, who am I when I'm not leaking my energy to something that is not bringing me back any interest, any expansion, any fulfillment in that way. Oh, time just gets away so fast. So the purpose alignment map, I don't know what you guys have. You do have it there. Okay. Okay. What activities expand me? Again, we've kind of sort of covered that a while ago about what, in other words, what turns you on? What makes you excited? What makes you feel worthy? Self-worthiness. Now that's something that's, again, missing in a lot of religion. People are not allowed to feel worthy of self because they thought self is a bad thing. The body's a bad thing. Humanity's a bad thing. Humanity is basically innately sinful, and so on and so forth. So that is something that has really been missing in people that need to be healed, and all of us who come out of those religions. in which we were taught we're so unworthy. The only worthy is God, and God is separate from us, so therefore we cannot share in worthiness. So if you're finding that in yourself and you're at that place, that's a very good way for your energy to come in. What relationships feel reciprocal? Oh my, well, we've touched on that too a little bit to realize that a relationship is a two-way street. I know there's givers and receivers in relationships, but at the same time, every giver's got to have some value of receiving. And every receiver has got to have some of giving, or it doesn't work. One may give in a different way, but there's got to be some giving on both parts, and there's got to be receiving on both parts. Okay? What drains still linger? This is what we want you to be aware of. What values do I refuse to violate anymore? So, when you draw these three circles out there, it's kind of interesting. One circle is what do I value, overlapping with where my energy currently goes and where I want my energy to serve. And of course, when you look at that, you're going to start seeing some geometric patterns here. You'll see some Vesica Pisces, you're going to see some real things beginning to happen. And if you would continue these circles, you would end up with the flower of life. The flower of life, which is divine blueprint. And that's why Bonnie, you was talking about that when you're doing exercise and you're looking at these geometrical signs,
Yes.
you're actually connecting with divine blueprint
Right.
in yourself.
How I feel.
And there is an experience to that, to do that. It'd be nice to have the things around your house or in your room. Just like if you go around the corner here, somebody gave me geometrical pictures. Sometimes you just go there and stand and look at those pictures for a while. You will feel something shift. You'll feel something rearrange, a pattern change will happen. And that's what sacred geometry is. It's patterns of how energy patterns itself of itself, not being patterned, but how it patterns itself. It is the nature. It is the divine nature in patterns, or we'll call it blueprint. Physically, we'd call it DNA. But now we're going to call it divine nature activated. Completely different. Alignment happens when these circles overlap. I like that. So it can't be this, and then there's this, and then there's that. They've got to all support each other into something bigger than one circle by itself. So that's when energy moves into synergy. And it becomes greater in that way. When considering a commitment, ask these things. Does this multiply my life force? Deepen my connection, expand love, and serve for the greater. Now these things, and because we give them to you, are not to just be, I have to get it right now. These are things for you to contemplate and until you get the experience of what these things are saying. That makes sense to you? It's not a list of, maybe that means this or this means that. What does it mean to you? So please keep your notes that you've been given every week and revisit them in your own space, in your own time. And ask your higher self, the Holy Spirit, what does this mean to me in my life? Multiply my life force. What does that mean? Deepen connection. Because we can't just off at the top of our head say what these things mean. We're talking deeper than that. We're talking about soul language here. Or does it, so instead of these things, does it deplete, contract, keep me small, keep me proving. So what makes me feel smaller? What makes me want to pull in and be smaller? And I think that is there. And I'm going to use myself as an example, and this takes some nerve. I have this terrible forward head thing going on, which has caused me some shoulder back issues. And I wish I'd have listened to my mother when she said, straighten up, David. But let me tell you why I didn't. Because I've asked, why have I shaped my body this way? And it's interesting what was given to me. I did not like being tall. I hated it. I was 6 foot in the 6th grade. I grew so fast that they thought I was having appendicitis and would take me to the hospital and the doctor, and he'd say, no, he's just growing. So I grew really fast. And everybody assumed I was going to be a basketball player. And everybody assumed a lot of things about me because of my tallness. And I didn't like towering above everybody else in the class pictures. So I started trying to be small.
Okay.
I'm just sharing this with you to show you
Makes sense.
that these things really give us answers. And anyway, these are the things that shape us, even shape our bodies, the way they are and whatever. I know we think it's all the DNA we got from our parents, but that's not true. That's only 50%. 50% is epigenetics, your feelings, your emotions, your experiences, how you perceive things, and all of that is doing that. So now I'm in kind of therapies, or I'm doing this and that and another. It's kind of hard at 80 years old to change your body. But I'm doing the best that I can to straighten up and be seen and feel worthy to do it. So I wanted to share that with you to help you to see. You might want to check in and see what's going on with you.
Put this a little bit in perspective for the soul currency check. I see it as when I'm trying to make a decision, do I want to do something, or someone's asking me to do something, these are kind of the checklist to go through. Is saying yes, will that multiply my life force, will it deepen my connection, or will it deplete me and contract me? And that helps me make the decision as to whether I'm going to say yes to something or not. Either a decision I'm making or if someone's asking me to do something. It's kind of a checklist you can use.
Right, very good. So remember, energy drain leaves you depleted and exhausted. That's a big one these days. I think everybody is just basically tired. I really do. I think that the lack of energy and tiredness is so prevalent everywhere that you go. Soul currency leaves you energized, even when you're tired. You find that reserve of energy, even when the body's telling you I've had enough, but you find that extra burst in the reserve. And that's because you had the energy in the reserve in your savings account to come in when you had spent all that you had. But now I need more, so I'm going to go to my reserve and pull it out, and I'm going to be energized. See, energy being energized. Create one sentence that governs your investments. For example, I invest only in what multiplies love. Now, wow, I gotta say, this is a challenge today to see things, experience things in the world and keep my love. I can't help but think about one of the scriptures that's most used in religion is Jesus saying, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten. It says son, but I'm going to say self. And the world was not kind at the time Jesus walked this earth. In fact, if you look at the Middle East today, that's pretty much the world he walked in. Things have not changed at all when it comes to the Middle East and the religions and stuff. People still dress the same way, eat the same way, think the same way, and whatever. So when Jesus did not live in a great time that everything was peaceful and wonderful, but yet he could love the world. And I thought, is that an example or a sample for me? Can I love this world where Donald Trump is the president of the United States, that I'm proud to be an American, but I can't even claim him to be my president? I'm just talking plain here for a minute. I'm tired of beating around the bush. This is how I feel, so take it for what you want. But at the same time, here I am as a spiritual person, supposedly, and a spiritual teacher and whatever. And I feel like when Jesus was led out into the wilderness and tempted of the devil, every time I'm tempted to hate, every time I'm tempted to judge, that's my devil saying, okay, if you're so spiritual and you're teaching that fear is an illusion but love is real and the two cannot exist as two realities, can you be moved out of the center of your identity when you say you are love? Now, hear what I'm saying. I'm saying that from a deep place in myself, that this is the big test, is what I'm telling you. This is the big one. When Jesus went into the wilderness for that 40 days and met his devil, his demon, his ego, everything that was screaming at him, if you be the Son of God, then make the stone bread. Call the thousands of angels. How tempted he must have been, but he didn't lose the center. And how many times in a day I lose my center that I am love because I've lost it to judgment. Because I dislike something and you may hate it, and I hate that word hate. I mean, that's severe. And that's severe when you come to the place that you can say, I hate something. I mean, we can't even say, I disagree with something. There's a better way of saying these things, but the ego's world is either hate or love.
Can't you have holy anger?
That's called righteous. That's a good point, yes.
So how I'm hearing this for you, and I've been working through this for myself as well, is to identify that these are my feelings at this moment. They do not represent my soul.
I agree with that 100%, and I think probably that's there.
We just have to call it.
But we have to call it in, and we have to bring it into the consciousness of the moment. Yeah, it's like calling the light into the darkness and proving the darkness was not there anyway. It was just an absence of being who we truly are in that moment. Our time is really good. Yes?
I think our attention is kind of what is our world. In case of somebody like DT, I don't think about him. I think of everything else but him. Because if I think about him, I am going negative. So I want to focus on what's positive in my life, in the world. So he just doesn't exist for me.
That's a
Okay.
great way to look at it.
Okay. I understand. Okay. No, we all have our own way we're dealing with this. Yeah. And, don't judge me and I won't judge you and where you are with it, but it's not a judgment. Bye-bye, Elaine. Thank you. But at the same time, I'm just realizing that I'm being constantly so tested right now to see, can I be taken off the mark? Missing the bullseye and being in that place in which I have separated myself again from myself.
But do we hate Herod? Who, was at the time of Christ, the man who, had him crucified? Or do we just simply block him? We focus on Jesus. We don't focus on Herod.
Anybody else?
Good point. That's all a good point. Tim, I'm going to let you do this last part for next week and talk about it. And I want to say Tim is working so hard on all this stuff.
I
I
know.
can see.
He's getting ready to give you something really beautiful that he's created. There are certificates for you all next weekend that he's made that are beautiful. If you've attended the 6 weeks, whether you're here or not, but if you've done it online, you can receive your certificate of attendance. So, and there's a reason of doing that. It's not for ego purposes, it's for grounding purposes. That you can look at and say, I accomplished this, I did this, this is something I did for myself.
Wow, this is beautiful.
Oh, this is nice. Thank you.
Isn't that
very
beautiful?
much.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
So,
This would be a
more
nice
time.
Binder.
a little bit more money to do it. So I'm saying to you, please give to the class a little bit more. Back when I was just talking, there was nothing, but now there's a little bit of product involved. I appreciate the fact of your assistance and help. Okay, Tim, go ahead.
Okay, so what you have here, I'm doing this, the online people can hear me better with this, at least I hope, is this should be a kind of a recap of the whole course, right, all 6 weeks, and just with kind of bullet points. Now, if you're not sure what any of those bullet points mean, like David keeps asking me, what's a half-closed door, or what's a, and so go back to your notes from that week, and it'll explain it a lot deeper, and you'll be able to be reminded of what does that little bullet point mean, okay, if you need to. But what we're asking you to do for next week is put into practice, look at this list and put into practice a few of these, not just have it be theory in your head or something you heard. Put a few of these into practice, then come next week with your experience that you can share with each other. Because next week we're not preparing any lesson next week. It's all you sharing.
Okay.
What's happened? Okay. Have you experienced something that's raised your energy, that's lowered your energy? Okay. Except, have you reinvested? Have you cut some cords? Have you set some boundaries? Okay.
Somebody's walking around up there.
I know it's the FedEx guy that I need to talk to.
Go ahead.
And then if I can find more rainbow paper, that's what your certificates will look like next week. Okay.
Beautiful.
And so plan on that next week if you would. You've already given those online. I'll put the giving slide up for a second, and we will finish this up. I don't know how you want to finish. You got about 5 minutes.
Okay. Anybody want to share or?
I want to say something.
Yes.
We've talked about the words, changing our words when something happens. What I've found growing within me, and this class has been really, really helpful as a reminder about energy is, I for one am very kinesthetic. So if someone asks me to do something that is not mine to do, my whole body is reacting. Mm-hmm. And in a way that I recognize as, this doesn't feel so good.
Yes.
And then attempting to be obedient to, if my body is registering, this is not the deal for you, no matter what anybody else is doing, then you just don't do it.
Mm-hmm. It's just like your body's a biofeedback system. Exactly. It tells us so much of where we are, where the soul is compared to the body. And that's what you're talking about me is misalignment. That's not an alignment. If it's an alignment, I don't have those.
Right.
Yeah, I get physical, organic, visceral kind of experiences. And that's why people say I get a gut feeling or something like that. There's these times that you'll point here or there, and that means the soul has gotten where you live. Yes. Anybody else? We got a couple of 3 minutes.
I am definitely coming through, and this is helping me cut some ties and create boundaries in more than one place in my life. Definitely with my ex-husband, and just with people in general. Yes. I have a hard time, creating boundaries. I have always had problems with it because I'm a yes person. So.
But you recognize it.
Oh my God, yes.
That's the beginning. That is the beginning, though.
And it's not that you have to even say no. You just have to be able to know where your limitations are, and be able to move away from saying yes.
Yeah. And again, it's back to what the Lord is saying. I mean, the body will let you know this is not the right thing, the right way. It's not right or wrong, but it's not alignment. And then, but if you're a yes person, you tend to not listen to that, and you go ahead and push and say yes anyway. And that's where we get in trouble.
And to me, that comes from my own experience, having a reaction and not a response. Because with the response, you know how when you're tuning, you do the refraction, a sacred pause. It's the sacred pause of just an extra few seconds to say, how does this resonate? And it's a skill. It's a skill. I'm getting better at it.
It's an art. Yeah. The art of pause. I mean, it's an art, and you got to practice to attain anything as an art. It doesn't just happen. It's not an event. You're just practicing. Practice the presence. Remember that adage that everybody uses? Practice the presence. So we hope that you'll take some of these and practice them. You may not fully do them all the time, 25 hours a day, but if you just do a little bit, like she said, it can just take, I call it the 3-second healing. 3 seconds can change everything if we enter into the state of awareness and observer of our life. So, excellent. Well, I want to thank you all so much for sticking with this and being a part of this class. I really think that, for a while we'll do some...
You're rubbing your mic.
Oh.
It feels good.
Yeah. What I want to say is I want to do some subjects that are kind of on their own for a while, and I think this does come up, but I think we need to go back through the relationship workshop. I was so honored with that book that I gave to Ebony, but I think I'm going to use it here on a Wednesday for a time or two, and each one will get it. The relationship book, soulmates, twin mates, and star mates.
But I don't
What's
know
the name of the book?
That's what I was asking.
It's called relationships.
Relationships.
Okay.
That's what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I reread that and I was just like, I was blown away with it. I thought there's some good stuff here. Because somebody told me one time, everything is energy and everything is relationship, and I never forgot that. Everything is energy, but when it comes to matter, it's energy having a relationship with itself. And what kind of relationship is that? All right, thank you guys. Have a great day. Don't forget to have a beautiful week.
Thank you.
Please come. I want to see more seats filled on Sundays. It discourages me a little bit to not see the seats full.
Here I am, here and now, in this moment.